Thank you. Good morning. This is the Personnel Board for the Town of Dudley on August 25th. This is a special meeting that we are having due to a time limitation for the warrant article. I will open the meeting. That's Mary Beth Marziotti.
Anne Marie Gray.
Rose Smolka.
Lorna Wade.
Joan Gadecki.
Greg Valiakonis, Town Administrator.
And it is 9:02. Our first thing on the agenda is Aura Finn regarding the town clerk assistant position.
And I can, Aura couldn't be here today, but she did arm me with her paperwork and concerning the request to create the position of assistant town clerk in her office. Presently, she has a clerk, and the clerk is paid the hourly rate of $14.08. Her interest is in giving this position the legal authority as assistant, which means the person would have all of the powers and duties of the town clerk in the town clerk's absence. And she's written up a job description, which I believe was forwarded to you for your July meeting, and excuse me, for your earlier August meeting, and then did some salary comparisons in other communities. And I support the request because I think it's good to have an assistant on board. I really do. I think that in these days and times, you need to have someone who has the legal authority to act in the absence of Aura. And it would provide for a transition if she were to be out or on an extended leave. We wouldn't be caught without having a person in that position.
I do agree with that. I have spoken with her. She goes on a vacation and everything comes to a standstill down there. There are people who can fill in and sit at the sit in the office, but they can't perform the duties that need to be done legally. So if she ever had an extended absence for something, we would really, I believe we would really be stuck.
Just a point of clarification. So the assistant wouldn't, if Aura for some reason were to leave office, the assistant wouldn't automatically be promoted. So there's no provision for automatic succession. It's an elected position, and the position would remain elected.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But it would be somebody who could fill in
right
when needed.
Right.
The assistant that's been down there now, she's been there for what, like 6 months, 8
Yeah,
months?
she's outstanding. It's 6 months, somewhere about that time frame. I'm not sure the exact date that she came on board.
Okay, so she's working out okay. All right, that's fine.
She's working there, but not as the legally
She's a clerk.
an assistant?
Yeah, she's just a clerk.
All right, so this would be, not, and would that go to that position? Would that woman fill in that position?
Yeah, the person is right for the job. I know Aura has struggled to find the right fit in her office, and I think she has it.
And so when we look at this projected pay, possibility of pay, that would be determined by the Board of Finance?
It was something that I've discussed with her, and I think the appropriate level of pay is, based upon the comparisons, it would be on the low side of the other cities and town clerks. She gave a listing of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other towns, and then she did some comparisons in town hall. I think $16 an hour is an appropriate rate of pay for the position. Again, it's consistent with the fact that we don't have the money to pay everyone a lot of money, but we also want to disrupt the system that we have in place right now.
I think the difference in it's the town. Right now, she's the town clerk assistant.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And now she then, with the new position, is going to be assistant town clerk.
Well, I have no problem with that. I mean, she knows what she needs in her office, and so does the town. I would make a motion to accept this proposal as presented by Ms. Finn.
I just have one more question. The girl that's working there now, how many hours a week does she?
19.
And this would be
Same.
the same?
Same.
Okay.
That's a budgetary issue that would have to be addressed as part of the budget process. So there's no change as far as this proposal to immediately change the hours in the position.
Okay.
So my motion still remains in effect.
I second the motion to vote in the position of assistant town clerk.
Is there any other discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. I know Aura appreciates it, and I do too.
Can I just, for a business question, there are no minutes to,
That's because this is a special meeting, not our regular meeting.
all right, so the minutes will become
At
part of
the
September.
next-
All right,
yes.
thank you.
Okay. And then we have no correspondence. Our next order of business is old business, the sick leave buyback article, which we have tabled from our July meeting, but it's been, Deb Thibodeau has been here on a couple of occasions to answer questions about it, and to, that is a proposal for a change. And at the last July meeting, we were given all of the information that we had asked her to provide, with estimated costs and what other towns' policies are. And so she has provided all of that information. Last time we requested a little bit of time to look it over and become familiar with it. So there are a couple of different options related to changing the number of days for the sick time buyback and the amount of the percentage that would be bought back. Does anybody have any questions about this? Maybe Mr. Valiakonis could answer?
The only thing I can say is I've had a conversation with Debbie, and I know you haven't talked about it. My recommendation would be, if you were to adopt it, option 2, which is the least cost, which is the maximum days remain at 65 and the buyback be at 50%. I think that's probably a fair proposal, but beyond that, I wouldn't support the others. I think there's an additional cost. Part of the reason why we don't have it is because of the cost involved. So we'd want to minimize that cost.
I think as I've reviewed all the options, I came to that same conclusion. I like the fact that they would have, that there would be a policy for this, but I think that the other options are just a bit too steep to jump to at this point. Maybe if we have it in place, and maybe if any financial situations change and it wants to be changed in the future, but I think that for what we're doing right now, I also like the option number 2.
I agree.
Anyone want to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve option number 2, leaving the maximum sick days at 65, but change the percentage buyback to 50% upon retirement.
I'll second it.
Is there any further discussion?
Do you have any idea how many are planning to retire next year?
I'm not aware of anyone that's going to retire next
At
year.
this time, you don't
No.
know?
No, but I think it makes sense from a budgeting standpoint that we begin setting aside money every year, because part of the problem in the past is someone would retire and there'd be this crisis mode where the town would have to come up with, say, $50,000 in 1 year and didn't have it. My plan is a little bit different. I think you should begin setting aside a small amount every year and budget for it, regardless of whether someone's retiring or not. And then be able to build up a fund so that when someone does retire, you don't have a crisis situation.
You had mentioned also perhaps, and I don't see language for this, that they would have to, that a person who's retiring would have to present that in writing to
Yes.
you by a certain
Yes,
date?
and I'll put together some language on that if you approve, I'll put together language, because this needs to go to to town meeting to be approved in the form of a personnel bylaw amendment. So I would do that, and I would suggest that the notice needs to be given in advance. Otherwise, the person waits until we get to the next budget cycle.
My only concern is, speaking from a point of equity, is that these people are not unionized, and so therefore they're more at the whim of the town than a union person who has contractual language. So as far as equity is concerned, I don't think that this is equitable, but it's a start.
Yeah, as you can see from some of the other comparisons, we have people that are eligible, union employees up to 150 days at 50% buyback.
Would you be also, well, that would be union and contractual, but would you be looking to putting that kind of, the language of letting the town know into their contracts that they would let you know?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And I'll put together an article that I'll share with you at your next meeting, so you can review it, and it'll include the language that you've suggested.
Okay. Well, that is the two items that we did need to address. Our next regular meeting will be September 20th at 9 a.m.
And I want to be on record that I will not be here because I will
Yes.
be on vacation,
Mhm.
so that for
Make sure,
for you to have a quorum, just so that.
Okay. All right, very good. So it is 9:14. We'll close the meeting.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll
I second.
it.
All in favor?
Aye.